All right, good morning again, everyone. I'm Virginia Williams from CGI. I'm the Vice President in CGI for Health and Human Services for the state of California, and I have some fantastic people here as co-presenters. I'd like to introduce Cathy Cleek, who is the CIO at the Franchise Tax Board. Kelly Heckman. Kelly, you stand up and wave. Yay. Kelly is the lead for organizational change management on the EDR project at FTB. We have Michele Scoggins. Michele is the practice owner in CGI for business process reengineering and organizational change management, and Kristen Forderer, who is a director and a senior practitioner in CGI for BPR and OCM. So we have a very good panel. And really my job today, we're going to talk about how to engage and manage your project stakeholders. And my job is just to kind of get you guys all ready and thinking about engagement and thinking about relationships. And then my co-presenters are going to take it over. They've got some really fun activities planned and a lot of great information to share with you. And we're going to talk about really two sides of this stakeholder. There's lots of stakeholders. We're going to talk about the vendor as a stakeholder and a partner, and we're going to talk about your internal stakeholders. So, because we could spend, I think, 3 days on the topic of stakeholders, right? So kind of tried to narrow it down for you a little bit. All right, so the agenda, if I can work this. There we go. So again, I'm just going to go over the relationship 101 kind of basics, just kind of get our heads wrapped around what the topic is here today. Cathy's going to take us through vendor engagement and management. She's going to tell you how she gets the most out of her business partner teams. Does she use carrot? Does she use stick? We're going to find out. And then Michele, Kelly, Kristen are going to talk about your internal stakeholders, how you manage them through change. If you're doing a project, you're changing somebody's world, you're rocking somebody's world, how do you manage them through that change? How do you keep that engagement with those stakeholders? And then there'll be questions and answers, but you know you can ask us questions anytime or share comments and thoughts. So do not feel inhibited just because we're being videotaped. All right, here we go. So relations are super simple, right? It's how we talk to each other, it's how we act with each other, it's how we deal with each other, right? That's all relationships are. And in order to have a successful project, you have to have what I call workable relationships. Not every relationship is going to be perfect in these projects, and we know that, but you got to get them all to workable. So we're going to talk about, and my co-presenters are going to talk about how you get to workable relationships with your stakeholders. Okay, you have an index card and hopefully a pen. We're going to do just a quick exercise. I'd like you to write down, 1 to 5, the people that you spend time with in your work life, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. Start with the person or people you spend the most time with, and then go down and just go 5 deep if you just take a couple of minutes to do that. It's just, I'm not collecting it, and it is not graded, so whatever you want to do, you can just even put their initials. But the concept is, who are we spending our time with, right? Okay. That was pretty easy. All right, you know where this is headed, right? We're going to make another list. So who should you be spending your time with? Who's most important to your success? Number 1 person at the top and then all the way down.
I would say my peers.
Your peers? Okay. No, you can shout it out.
You're sharing.
I heard users, right? I heard somebody shout out users. Okay, you guys have that? So the idea is to compare those lists, right? So the people you're spending all your time with and the people you should be spending all your time with, did anybody's lists line up? No. Yours did? Okay, pretty close. Good. Right? But that's 1% out of what? How many people are in this room? 100? 150? So that's, and you knew that before you started the exercise. I knew it before I did it myself. I knew my 2 lists didn't match up. I'm spending a lot of time internally in CGI. I'm talking to the ISO because he wants me to get my security certifications done, and I'm talking to HR because they want me to do employee appraisals on time and all this good stuff. But those aren't, I need to be spending more time with my clients. I need to be spending more time with my project managers. So I think the idea is to maybe just think of one thing while you're here today that you would change that would get these lists more in alignment. Don't strive for perfect alignment. We can't ignore the people on the first list. Clearly, I've got to talk to the ISO and I've got to talk to HR, right?
Yes.
But I really need to do something so that that list gets a little bit more in sync. So be thinking about what you might do there. Okay, so again, just to get ourselves in the right frame of mind, let's talk about the things that go into great, strong relationships when we're doing projects. So we all know that the more contact you have with people, the more alignment you have with people. So it's really easy for me to have a lot of contact with like-minded people. I enjoy meeting with them. These three ladies, meet with them anytime, day or night, because we just feel like we're like-minded. But the real challenge is, are you having enough contact on your projects and in your environment with someone you're not aligned with? Or are you actually avoiding that because it's a little bit more unpleasant, right? This is the person who, when you walk in the conference room, if they're sitting at that end of the table, you want to sit at that end of the table, right? Or whenever they speak, you're just totally trying to control yourself from rolling your eyes, right? So try this, right? Because more contact does yield better alignment. Next time you go in that conference room, sit right next to them. Not even across from them, but right next to them. Think about writing down something that they're saying, right? I've gone back and looked at my notes from someone who I swear everything they said I disagreed with, and I read it and I went, well, actually, that's a pretty good point. And take some notes while they're talking, or find something you can nod to. But more contact leads to more alignment. You have to have workable relationships to have a successful project. All right, value the intangibles. All right, I love this one, right? So at the end of every year, I take my SLA report, I come and see you, my clients. I say, isn't this beautiful? This 175 pages on page 89. You're going to see that we met all our SLAs. Isn't that fabulous, right? It's fabulous, Virginia. And then I say, okay, and I'd like you to fill out this customer sat survey. It won't take you very long. Just read page 89 and fill out the customer sat survey. And I'll be back tomorrow. And so I go back the next day and I look at the score in the customer sat survey and I say, did you read the SLA report? Because we made all our SLAs. And I go, yeah. Is this the score you're giving us? And yeah, that's the score. Because I'm not being measured on those SLAs. I'm being measured on the intangibles. Was I responsive? Did I help solve a problem that maybe wasn't even in my purview? Right? Was I supportive? Did I bring innovation to the table? Was I experts? That's what I'm really being scored on. So understand that we have to value the intangibles in our relationships. Okay, value proposition. So this is, and maybe you've never been in this situation, but if you're talking cost with each other, business partner to client, and it's all about the cost, and you're not talking about the value, you've got an uphill battle. Because if you can't communicate the value to each other, you don't need to be having the discussion about the cost. So my favorite recent example is I went to my husband and I said, I think we should spend $25,000 on a new deck, and a really big deck this time. And I need $10,000 for new patio furniture because it'll be a bigger deck, and we should get those really deep cushions, sunbrella fabric, it'll be great. And maybe $5,000 for one of those fire pits, right? We could sit around the fire pit, that'd be great. So he said, so you want $40,000 for a new deck? And I said, yeah, I want $40,000. I think that's where we should spend this money. He didn't want to do that. So we talked for a year about the $40,000 for the new deck. And eventually the deck got built because he got tired of talking about the $40,000 for the new deck, and he just sort of gave up. But 3 weeks ago, when we were pulling the new deep cushions, sunbrella fabric cushions off the deck for the rain, he said, this was a great idea. We did so much more entertaining. We had so much more fun this past summer, all our friends, all our family. And at night after work, we sat out there with our favorite refreshment, talked about our day, decompressed. I am going to miss this deck this winter. I didn't talk about the value. I only talked about the cost. We thought about it for a year. Turns out we both are getting tremendous value from it. It was a great idea. Rookie mistake on my part. All right, relationships are a two-way street. We know that. If you're having a blockage in your relationship and conversations, you really need to make sure that there's a lot of give and take, that you're listening to each other, that you are truly listening to each other on that. And then your relationships understand that they're forever. They should be forever. You should maintain them. They're dynamic. They change. My favorite example is my relationship with Cathy. We were talking the other day. We've known each other over 20 years. She was my customer on a project, right? It wasn't always going well. She wasn't always happy with me. I didn't always think she was being fair. But we worked through it. We had a very successful project. I think it was around $30 million, so a good-sized project. And we were able to declare success, and we went our separate ways. But we maintained our relationship. I learned more about what her intangibles were through our personal interactions than I ever did as her business partner in that contractual relationship. And the weirdest thing, like 6 years later, we ended up on a project again together, which was a huge surprise because it was child support projects, like what's franchise tax board doing on a child support project. And that turned out to be a $1 billion project. So you can imagine, I thought there was a lot of oversight, scrutiny, and stakeholders and deadlines on the other project. This one was outrageous. And we had some problems. She wasn't always happy. I didn't think she was always fair. But you know what we had is we had confidence. We had confidence we could work through it because we had done it before. So we had something to build on. It was something that we didn't let go stale on us, and we kept up that relationship. We had another very successful project together, and I'm looking forward to having another one. So, very good. So keep up those relationships and keep them going. So hopefully, Cathy, that's a good segue for you, because you're going to tell them how you got me to do what you needed me to do.